The idea behind this evidence review was to ensure that we could all learn from the best practice that is already happening on the ground. We all know that there are really great projects out there that are getting this right, and we want to learn from them and build on their successes.
We started with a potential pool of examples gathered from the self-identification of ARA members, and then added on by the expertise of the ARA Secretariat and Plan Adapt. So each example was screened in the first step to see whether they meet 3 minimum criteria. The first one was projects who have a focus on adaptation. Then secondly, projects who contain a research element. And the third minimum criteria was projects who are operating in the Global South.
This report covers 20 Global South programs, and one of which is through my organization, the Mahila Housing Trust. Our mission is actually to improve the housing, living and working environments of poor women in the informal sector, at the end of which they take charge of the process and actually develop inclusive and responsible urbanization. So the women are equipped with technical evidences, and therefore they are invited to sit on the same table as the scientist or the technologist and the government, which I think is a very, very important aspect. So it's promoting real dialogue directly between the women as well as the national government and the city governments.
The program of urban agriculture in Rosario promotes agroecological development, integrating men and women in the production and preparation of healthy food through ecological techniques, especially in urban enclaves, facing the problems coming from growing urbanization, poverty, and exclusion in our city and many other cities in the Global South. This program and the project, the purpose is to develop a sustainable, inclusive, resilient, safe and diversified food system, and to provide healthy and accessible food in a framework based on rights in order to preserve biodiversity, environment, and at the same time to mitigate and to adapt to climate change.
The main goal of DARAJA is to improve the climate resilience of residents living in urban informal settlements, because oftentimes there's a disconnect between the weather information that's produced and the users of this information, which affects the user's ability to take protective or adaptive actions. So DARAJA focuses on bridging this gap and uses the approach of building inclusive and user-centric weather information communication systems. DARAJA is a global program at the moment, but its very first implementation was for 2.5 years in 2 major urban cities of East Africa, Nairobi and Dar es Salaam. It is currently under implementation in Jamaica and Sudan.
And the report makes it much clearer that everyone on the table has to be ready to move out of their comfort zone, and also understand that knowledge is one piece. Sometimes it's the centerpiece of progress, but sometimes it's only an ingredient. And then it's actually the process, it's the dialogue between these actors, and it's eventually making resource allocation decisions for the right things at the right time. And this is what climate change adaptation is all about.
Come on and work with us to developing this evidence base further so that it can complement and feed into the other parallel processes that the ARA is part of.